You have seen it in movies countless times. A prisoner digs a tunnel with a spoon. He climbs over a wall. He runs through the forest. Then sirens wail. Police dogs chase him. And when he is caught, he gets years added to his sentence. That is how it works in most countries. In the United States, escaping from prison is a felony. In the United Kingdom, it carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. In Canada, it can add years to your time behind bars. But there is one country where the rules are completely different. A country where a prisoner who escapes without breaking any other laws can walk free. No additional punishment. No new charges. No extra time added to their sentence. That country is Germany. And the law has been on the books since 1880. Here is why German prisons allow inmates to escape, what the 3 strict conditions are, why almost no one actually succeeds, and the true story of a disabled German man who escaped, got declared free, and then voluntarily went back to prison. Let us get into it. The idea that prisoners have a right to freedom is deeply rooted in German legal philosophy. German law has long recognized that the desire for liberty is a fundamental human instinct. It is not something that can be legislated away. It is not something that disappears when a person enters prison. In 1880, when Germany was still a young empire, lawmakers codified this principle into the national legal framework. They determined that attempting to escape from prison is not, by itself, a criminal act. The reasoning was simple. Seeking freedom is human nature. You cannot punish someone for being human. But here is where the law gets clever. The German legal system did not want to encourage prison breaks. They did not want chaos. So they added 3 very specific conditions. A prisoner can escape without punishment only if they do not commit any other crimes during the escape. Let me explain each condition clearly. First, the prisoner cannot damage any prison property. No broken locks, no smashed windows, no cut fences, no dug tunnels. If a prisoner so much as scratches a wall, they have committed property damage. That is a separate crime, and that crime is punishable. Second, the prisoner cannot use or threaten violence against any prison staff. No pushing a guard, no fighting, no hostage situations. If anyone is hurt or threatened, that is assault or bodily harm. Those are serious offenses with serious penalties. Third, the prisoner cannot wear their prison uniform during the escape. This sounds strange, but the reasoning is logical. The prison uniform belongs to the state. Taking it without permission is theft. If you escape wearing your prison clothes, you have committed theft. And theft is a crime. So here is the reality. A prisoner can theoretically escape without punishment if they walk out through an unlocked door, wearing civilian clothes, without breaking anything, without touching anyone. That is it. Now ask yourself a question. How many prisons have unlocked doors? How many prisoners have civilian clothes ready? How many can walk out without anyone noticing? The answer is very, very few. The German legal system created this law not to help criminals, but to make a philosophical statement. The statement was this: freedom is a fundamental right. We will not punish you for wanting it, but we will also make it nearly impossible for you to actually achieve it legally. For decades, almost no one successfully escaped under these conditions. The law was theoretical. It was a legal curiosity that lawyers debated, but criminals could not use. Then came the case of Thomas. Thomas was a German man living in the city of Augsburg. He was not a hardened criminal. He was not a bank robber or a murderer. In fact, his crime was relatively minor. He had injured someone in a moment of carelessness. The courts called it negligent bodily harm. His sentence was 3 months in a prison called Keisheim, near the city of Donauwörth in southern Germany. 3 months is a short sentence. For most people, it would be an inconvenience. Sit it out. Go home. Move on with your life. But Thomas had a problem. He was disabled. His lower back caused him constant pain. On rainy days, and Germany has many rainy days, the pain became unbearable. He could barely move. He could not sleep. He could not function. The prison in Keisheim was an older facility. It did not have the medical equipment Thomas needed. His condition worsened. Eventually, the prison administration made a decision. They transferred Thomas to a hospital in Donauwörth for treatment. This is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Thomas was taken to the hospital in a wheelchair. He was not considered a high-risk prisoner. He had only committed a minor offense. He was clearly in pain. He was dependent on medical care. The guards relaxed their usual caution. While in the hospital, Thomas requested a visit from his mother. The guards allowed it. They brought his mother to a small private room. Thomas was in his wheelchair. His mother sat with him. The guards stepped outside. They did not want to intrude on a family moment. The door closed. Minutes passed. When the guards opened the door again, Thomas was gone. He had simply left. He had not broken anything. He had not hurt anyone. He had not been wearing his prison uniform because he was in a hospital gown. He had walked out of the hospital room, through the hallway, and out of the building. By the letter of the German law, Thomas had committed a legal escape. The prison authorities knew this. They did not send police to chase him. They did not issue a warrant for his arrest. They did not add years to his sentence. Under the 1880 law, Thomas was considered free. Here's the most surprising part of the story. Thomas did not stay free. A few days after his escape, Thomas called the prison. He explained why he had left. He was not running away from justice, he said. He was not trying to avoid his punishment. He simply needed better medical care than the prison could provide. He had gone to a different hospital. He had received treatment. His pain was under control. Then Thomas said something remarkable. He promised to return to prison to finish his sentence. He only had 1 week left. He asked if he could come back and serve that final week. The prison agreed. Thomas returned voluntarily. He served his last 7 days. He was released. He went home. Thomas made this choice for a practical reason. Although the law declared him free after his escape itself would have created problems for him. Employers might not hire someone known to have escaped from prison. Landlords might not rent to him. His family might be embarrassed. The remaining sentence was only 1 week. It was simply easier to finish it and leave with a clean record than to be free but carry the stigma of having escaped. The story of Thomas demonstrates the strange logic of the German prison escape law. It is real. It is old. It is still technically on the books, but it is also a trap. The conditions are so strict that almost no one can meet them. And even if they do, as Thomas discovered, freedom is not always the best option. Now, before we go any further, I need to address a common question. Is this law still in effect today? The answer is complicated. The principle that escape alone is not a crime is rooted in older German legal thinking. However, modern German courts and legal scholars have reinterpreted this principle. Today, escaping from prison can be prosecuted as resistance against enforcement officers or as property damage if anything is broken. In practice, most escape attempts do result in additional charges. The old 1880 law is more of a historical curiosity than a practical defense, but the philosophy behind the law lives on in a different way. Germany has something called open prisons. These are correctional facilities with no walls, no fences, and no bars on the windows. Prisoners in open prisons are trusted to return to the facility each night after working outside during the day. According to official statistics, about 14% of all prisoners in Germany are housed in open prisons. In some regions, like North Rhine-Westphalia and Berlin, the proportion exceeds 25%. In other regions, like Bavaria, it is less than 5%. This variation has caused debate. Some politicians worry that criminals will move to regions with more open prisons just to get easier sentences. They call this prison tourism. Supporters of open prisons argue that they reduce the chance that prisoners will commit new crimes after release. Studies suggest that prisoners who spend time in open facilities are less likely to return to prison. They maintain connections with family. They can work real jobs. They gradually transition back to normal life. The open prison system is the modern expression of the old German idea. Prison should not just punish. It should prepare people to rejoin society. And treating prisoners as humans who want freedom, rather than animals who must be locked away, is part of that philosophy. So where does the old escape law stand today? The truth is that no prisoner in Germany has successfully used the 1880 law to escape without any consequences in many years. The legal system has evolved. Courts have found ways to interpret escapes as other crimes. Even walking away through an unlocked door could be considered removing yourself from lawful custody, which is a separate offense under modern statutes. But the story of the law remains fascinating. It reminds us that different countries have different ideas about justice, about freedom, and about what it means to be human. In the United States, escape is escape. You run, you get more time. In Germany, at least in theory, the desire for freedom is respected. You just have to achieve it without breaking anything, hurting anyone, or taking any state property with you. That is why German prisons allow inmates to escape, not because they want criminals to run free, but because they believe that the hunger for liberty is not a crime. It is a part of being alive. So the next time you watch a prison escape movie, remember the strange case of Germany. Remember Thomas, the disabled man who escaped to get medical treatment and then came back. And remember that sometimes the most interesting laws are the ones that never actually work the way they were written. That is the story of Germany's escape law, a 145-year-old legal curiosity that tells us something important about what one country believes about freedom, punishment, and human nature.